to have died because all of a sudden I was transported to the spirit realm and I was in hell. And, you know, I always knew that hell would be a terrible place. You know, like I said, my mom was a Christian. She's always preaching this stuff to me and my homies, but when I was there, it was everything that was bad. Everything. To the feeling of anxiety, depression, everything that weighs on your heart, that the oppression of the devil ramped up to 1,000,000,000. The air is not oxygen, it's like sulfur. You can't breathe. The heat in there is just so bad that your skin is literally melting, but it's not melting, so that way it can continue to melt. And the worst part for me was the ceremony. You know, it was insane. I was on a stick, so to speak. You know, I'm not sure, but it was like a stick, and there was chains all around my body. My whole body was contorted, and I'm talking, my arms were bent behind me all the way up but backwards. My legs were so contorted that my heels were over my eyes, over my eyebrows, my heels. And I was being lowered into the pit of hell, and I heard the devil say, "Welcome home." And it's not only torment physically, it's here. Everything that you could have done in your life that would have changed this outcome. Because whether you believe in Jesus or not, whether you believe this hell and heaven stuff is real, it is. And you will be reminded of that, like I was. So I was. And it was so much torment in my mind. And as I was being lowered and lowered into the pit of hell, I saw a whole bunch of faces. A whole lot of faces. Some I knew, but there were so many that I had no idea who they were. But I knew that God will bring those people in my life to proclaim His name, to proclaim the name of Jesus Christ. But since I was in hell, I would have never had that opportunity to do so because I was there for eternity along with them. So that was even more torment for me. And, you know, half of them were trying to latch onto me to pull him out of the fire. The other half was trying to eat me alive. Anyway, I got really close to the fire, and all of a sudden the chain snapped. And when the chain snapped, my body contorted right back into shape. But I didn't feel any pain. It was just like, it was so quick that I was in shock. And the only thing I remember from this particular moment that was truly, truly painful was when my right thumb, hit the fire. It hit the fire, and it was like, I don't know if you've ever played with fire before, but that heat just times 1,000,000. Everything in hell, everything in the spirit realm is amplified to 1,000,000. It's so much more real than this realm, than this earth. You know, which is hard to understand. I totally get it. I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to understand. Like, I had someone tell me that it's subjective. It's my own interpretation of what the drug did. But if you were there and you saw how real it was, if you felt it, if you knew everything in here and in here, it's the it's the realest place. It's the spirit realm is so much more real. And so anyway, the thumb hit the fire, and all of a sudden I turn, like my body just turns, and I'm like levitating in hell, and it's like the weirdest thing. But there was just this little tiny dot of light, And I just happened to blink. As soon as I blinked, I was in heaven. But because of my evil deeds and everything that I was doing against God, how many times He's warned me through my mother, through other people, I wasn't worthy to see heaven or Jesus. I was just in this room, and it's like the light is not like that light up there. It's not like that light over there. It's totally in you and through you, like oxygen to us here on Earth. It's like oxygen. You know, you're of it, you're in it, you're around it, but it's just like natural. It's like it's so bright, but it's not like the sun bright, you know, it's just like you're bright. The room is like everything is bright. It's just crazy. But like I said, all I could see was the light, that it was around me and it was in me, through me. And then I heard God say, choose. Immediately I said, Lord, I choose you. And that's when I woke back up and I was getting arrested by 6 or 7 police officers. Guns drawn. They said, well, you're lucky we didn't kill you, boy. And, you know, what basically happened was, when my spirit left my body, this is my interpretation. I guess you can call this subjective. But I'll tell you one thing that is objective, and that is the truth, and that's Jesus Christ. But my interpretation of what happened was, my spirit left my body. So my spirit was in the eternal realm. But my body was so gacked out on drugs. It was so full of the devil's tools. Let's just put it that way. That it just jerked back up and started acting crazy without me being there. People apparently called the police, which they had every right to. I was acting insane. And the police showed up and immediately drew their guns. And again, they had every right to, because I was acting absolutely insane. And, you know, but all of a sudden, apparently, some witnesses say that I charged after the police. I charged at them while their guns are drawn. I mean, you know what that equals out to. You know what I'm saying? You know, I think that was the moment that I said, God, I choose you. I choose you, Lord. And the police spoke with my mother. They said they couldn't understand, but something told them not to shoot.
This, where they put me, and these most ugliest, horrible, monster, demonic things are there. They're waiting. The torturers, they're waiting. And they're all around this place, and I'm just looking at them, and oh my God, what's going to happen to me? Oh no. And they lower me down on my back. And it's like I'm hovering in the air. But there's no air down there. Just have to tell you that, there's no air. So I'm hovering and I'm looking at these things, but they're not doing nothing. They're just looking at me with the most evil, just like they hate me so bad. They really do, like they just want to destroy you in this world. And when they get their hands on you in hell, they're going to destroy you more. And so I'm thinking, what's going on? Like, and the angels start to go up. They leave me where I am, lying on my back, and they start to go up out of this place. And as soon as they left this place, they attacked me, cut into me, destroyed me. I really mean that. Like, they just, and then 2 things you keep when you go down to hell: your identity. I was Jason. I was in hell. I was Jason. And your memory. 2 things you keep: your identity and your memory. And your memory is part of your punishment. Because in the ambulance, Now, listen, I have to say this, like, when you leave your body here, you get your body, your eternal body. You get it. And it was a physical body that these things could chop apart. And I felt the pain of it and everything. And it was so bad. They just butcher you. They just cut you asunder. They do whatever they want. They cut your head off, stab you through your eye, and you don't die. This in the ambulance. When I first collapsed before the ambulance, I just experienced them attacking me, and I woke up. But in the ambulance, I experienced regenerating every time. Every time they took me to the point of where I would die in the natural, in this world, I opened my eyes and my body was back perfect, and they done it again, and that's how it went on and again, and every time they done it, I remembered the last time, and the fear from the last time they done it was with me the next time, and that's how the fear and terror multiplies in hell. It will never get better, and it will always get worse. It will always get worse. There's no way out. And my body in the ambulance, my flesh, my world body was acting out what I was going through in hell. My screams in the thing frightened the people so bad in there. My nephew, when we got to the hospital, when the doors opened, he ran away from the ambulance, wouldn't come back. They know those screams were from someone going through hell torment. And I remember putting up my hand in hell like that, as if to say stop. Like to stop, and I just see him chopping through my fingers, chopping my hand, chopping here, stabbing me. And then I'd open my eyes and I'd be back again, and then start over again. And that was it. Can you imagine that? Forever and ever. But this was going on. It just kept happening, right? And it kept getting worse and worse and worse. These things, they're not like programmed. They don't just chop your legs off and cut your throat, and that's it every time. They switch it up. They go down, they cut you down here this time, cut you up here, cut you here, come down into your throat, rip your tongue, your insides out. Listen, they like here, the demons are invisible, but down there, they're physical. Because you're in the spiritual world now, you're in their world. Listen, it's physical, and they have supernatural strength, and they are so evil. They are the definition of sadism. That's what they are. So I was going through this and I was screaming, and in the ambulance I was left to feel that I was done. I was done. God cut me off completely from my body, cut me off from the world, and I was in eternity, and I just knew I'm never getting out. This is it. I'm never, and every time I woke up, they were cutting me and ripping me aside, and then I'd open my eyes, and then they'd start doing it again, and there was no rest, nothing but fear and terror, and just pain, unbelievable pain. You feel everything, and it's multiplied every time, and what you become in hell is just a scream. You will never talk again. You'll never conversate with anyone. You'll never turn around and say, hi, how are you? Yeah, had a nice day. Or I love you. Or ha ha. Nothing. Like that. Look. Just screaming. And that's it. There's no ear. You're not breathing. You're getting this fear and terror into you. And they're cutting you asunder, and they're changing every time. They're ripping your legs off. They're cutting you up your privates, cutting your throat. Listen, they can do whatever they want down there. And that's it. That's where sin takes you. That's where drugs, 27 years of drugs and being selfish and rejecting God took me. And I thought I was done. And listen, this is when I'm talking about the memory in hell, your memory. This was happening to me, and I zoned out in hell. My memory kicked in, and it was like I was back on planet Earth. I was like I was with my family, like I was with people. And next thing, I start coming back to hell, and I was like, oh no, I'm really in hell. And they're killing me, ripping me asunder. Oh no. So it's like I woke up from the nightmare, only to realise that what I woke up to was a dream, and what reality was the nightmare. And back I went to it, and these things were cutting me and ripping me and doing things to me that you know what I mean, disgusting things. And listen, all I say to the world is, if God says in this book, thou shalt not, don't do it. Don't do it. If you're going to go before God, you better make sure that you're living a good life, a holy life, a clean life. Be born again. You know what I mean? Give your life to Jesus Christ. He's the only way. This is what I'm telling. Oh God, you're my witness. And I pray, Heavenly Father, that this will stop, if only one person, that I'll have some fruit to show when I go before God. Because the reason why I'm doing this now is I'm so afraid of going back there. I'm so afraid of standing before Jesus Christ again and Him saying to me, you didn't make it into heaven. I have to make it in there. Do you understand? It's so bad. You're done. You're finished. You're rubbish down there. You can't call to God. You can't do nothing. Imagine I didn't come out of there. I would be still there now, and people would have had my funeral. Maybe some of them would have said he's in heaven. Some would have said I was in hell. They would have been right, but they wouldn't have even believed I was in hell. I would be in hell now a year. But there, it's nothing. It's just eternity. It's going on and on and on and on and on. There's no time. You're just there. You're going through it. And I just couldn't. I thought I was done. I couldn't see no way out. You're just trying to cope with what's been done to you. You're just trying to cope. And it's just unbelievable. So I'm in the ambulance.
They get me ready for surgery. They wheel me down the hall. I said goodbye to my wife. The nurses get ready to push me over onto the surgical table. And just like that, next thing I know, Jesus is standing next to me. And Jesus looks at me and he holds out his hand and he says, I want to answer your prayer. And I thought, what is going on here? What is happening?
Was he in the hospital beside your surgical table?
He was actually physically standing next to me.
Oh, wow. And
that really kind of changed the way I viewed heaven, because this was not a ghost standing there floating. It was physical Jesus standing with a white robe, dark hair, dark skin, eyes that were bluish green. And man, when he looked into my eyes, he looked into my soul. And that was what convinced me, this is Jesus. And so I'm confused, like, if I take his hand, am I dead? And then, and that's kind of going through my mind. I think I must have died somewhere along the line. Maybe I got to surgery, maybe I didn't, but I'm thinking I might be dead. But what choice do I have? What am I going to do? Say, no, Jesus, I'm good. I don't want to take your hand. I don't want to answer. I don't want to find out about this prayer that you said I'm asking for. But I ended up taking his hand, and as soon as I did, immediately we were standing on a grassy hill, and everything's white. I mean, everything around me except the grass below me is just beautiful green. And my senses were heightened to the point where I could count every blade of grass that was under my feet. And I look off to my right. I'm still holding Jesus' hand. I look off to my right, and there's this bright white light that's brighter than all the rest of it. Everything there is white, super white. I can't see a thing. But I see this light, and this light all of a sudden starts sending out these things that look like fluorescent tubes, but they're like 2 feet long, maybe a little fatter than a fluorescent tube, and they start kind of slow, and they're going like this, coming from this light source. One of them starts coming at my forehead, and I thought, what do I do now? So I just stood there because I'm just so in awe of this light. It hits my head. It goes through me. It makes like a light buzzing sound as it's zipping through my head. And it warmed my entire body. So I thought, okay, this is weird. I'm still thinking like a regular guy. I'm still a human being thinking this is bizarre. And all of a sudden, all the brightness around me was like a curtain being pulled from my right to my left. So now it reveals there's the rest of the mountain that I'm standing on. There's a hill below me. There's flowers on the hill, not only grass, but there's some flowers. They're kind of wispy a little bit and maybe, moving a little bit like there's wind, but there's no wind. It's like pastel colors, like there's light purples and yellows and oranges, just beautiful flowers that go down this hill. at the bottom of the hill, the fog or whatever it was, the white stuff, is settled on the valley below. And I can see that there's a city down there. It's a big city. But all I can see is the top of the buildings. So I see like there's a big gold dome, like Capitol buildings have that round dome with maybe a point on it. And it was gold. And then there were other steeples, and it looked like tops of, the churches, old-fashioned churches that have the big pointy, spires and all these things sticking out of the fog. Some of them are gold, but most of them are white. And then off on the other side of this city is another mountain, and they look like pine trees, but they're all perfect. And so the lights are still going. Above the pine trees are colors of the sky that it's hard to describe. I always say they're neon colors, but they're, bright red and orange, and there's a little bit of blue at the top, some wispy clouds.
So not blue skies like we're familiar with?
It was brighter. At the top was brighter blue, but there was all these other, really super bright colors. And it was like the most beautiful sunset I'd ever seen, but there's no sun. So I look back at the light source, and these little fluorescent tube beam things are now going across the valley, and one of them hits the tip of one of the trees, the pine trees, and it's like it had a diamond on it, because when the light hit the diamond, it just exploded into these tiny little white streaks of light, and they start going everywhere. And then more of these things come along, and they hit more of the branches, and this stuff is just exploding. It's like bright white fireworks that are just going off everywhere. And I was like, wow, this is just unbelievable, with the light stuff going everywhere. And I look back at the light source, and Jesus says, "It's the glory of the Lord." And when he said that, I was like, I got weak in the knees, and I just couldn't stand. I just fell to my knees. And when I did, at the moment my knees hit the ground, they shocked me and brought me back. So the next thing I know is that's all gone. I'm laying in bed, in a hospital bed, and I have a doctor leaning over me. He says, "Do you know your name?" And I thought, okay, of course I know my name, but